Okay, if you were a gamer back in the mid-2000s, I bet there's one line you'll never forget. Ah shit, here we go again, right? Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Man, it wasn't just a game, it felt like a whole other world you could live in. But way down, deep beneath Grove Street and the lights of Las Venturas, Rockstar packed in all these secrets and game mechanics that, honestly, changed everything. And today, we're gonna dig in and figure out just how they pulled it off.
It's kind of crazy to think this game is considered a classic now, right? But it's code, it's DNA. It is just loaded with some absolutely insane secrets. And look, I'm not just talking about little Easter eggs here and there. No way. We're talking about whole systems, entire legends that made this digital world feel, well, alive.
But that's the big question, right? Why are we still talking about a game from 2004? Well, it's because these so-called secrets, they weren't just for a quick laugh. These were basically prototypes for features that we totally take for granted in open-world games today. This was the blueprint. This was the foundation for everything that came after.
All right, first up, let's talk about how San Andreas completely changed the way you connected with your character. I mean, for the first time, really, in a huge open-world game like this, your body, CJ's body, actually mattered. So to really get how huge this was, you gotta remember what games were like back then. In most of them, your character was just a static model. They never changed. And water? Oh man, water was basically just a blue, you die now texture. You touched it, you were gone. But San Andreas? Totally different. It gave us a world that was alive, where you could physically change, and the environment wasn't a death trap. It was a playground. And that living, breathing feeling, it started with the smallest things. This is where you really start to see the Rockstar genius for detail kick in. What you did, it had real physical consequences that you could literally see happening right there on your screen.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You could walk into a Cluck and Bell, eat way too much food, and actually watch CJ get heavier. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just for looks. Oh no. His stamina, his speed, even how other people treated him. It all changed based on his fitness. It was this amazing, early mix of RPG stuff inside a full-blown action game. So smart.
And this whole physical connection thing, it went beyond just CJ's body. For years, you guys know this, falling into the water in a GTA game meant you were instantly dead. It was this hilarious but super frustrating running joke. While San Andreas, that was the game that finally fixed it.
And this was a huge deal. A major shift in how they thought about game design. It wasn't just about getting rid of something annoying. No, it was about making the world bigger. All of a sudden, the rivers, the lakes, the oceans, they weren't walls anymore. They were places to explore. You could go diving for stuff, find secrets. A whole new part of the world just opened up.
So, okay, the world got physically deeper. You could actually go underwater. But Rockstar also added layers that made it feel deeper in your mind, you know? And honestly, a lot weirder. And this is where the story gets really good.
Yeah, this is what brings us to the myths, the legends, the stuff that maybe wasn't even meant to be in the game but just took on a life of its own. It created one of the very first big gaming mysteries of the internet age. So, one of the spookiest, most famous examples? The ghost cars. You'd be out exploring the woods in Flint County, right? And you'd see these old, beat-up cars just rolling down a hill with nobody driving them. Was it just a bug in the game's physics, or was it something else? It was so creepy and it felt so real.
And that feeling, that quote right there, man, that perfectly sums up the vibe of playing San Andreas back then. A mix of paranoia and excitement. Everybody had a story. Everyone was sure they saw something out in the woods. And it all led up to the game's biggest, most famous legend of all.
The hunt for Bigfoot. It became this massive worldwide obsession. People were sharing these grainy screenshots of weird shadows in the fog, pointing out strange footprints in the forest. You had this whole community of players that was just laser-focused on finding proof. Now, let's be real. He probably wasn't actually in the game's code, but you know what? It didn't even matter. The idea that he could be, that was what made the world feel so mysterious and incredible.
And that was the question that drove the whole thing, wasn't it? Was this stuff just a glitch, a bug, or were they secret little breadcrumbs left by the developers for us to find? Not knowing for sure, that was the magic. It completely blurred the line between the game itself and what was just in our heads.
But look, the world wasn't just haunted, right? It wasn't all about spooky myths.
Rockstar was also trying to simulate life in ways that were, well, they were just insanely ambitious for the time. They were really pushing the envelope of what a game could feel like.
And that feeling of a living world, it went even deeper. San Andreas started to get to this point where the line between a crazy action game and like a full-on life simulator, it got really, really blurry.
Take the girlfriend system, for example. This was so much more than just a side quest. You had to actually take people on dates, go to dinner, go dancing, and you had to manage the relationship. But here's the key. Doing all this wasn't just for the story. It gave you real perks in the game, like getting to keep your weapons if you got busted. That, plus managing your gang turf and businesses, it was a sneak peek at the kind of deep simulation stuff we see all the time in open-world games now.
So, okay, when you put it all together, the body changing, the crazy myths that players basically created, the social life sim stuff, you kind of have to come to one single conclusion.
And that's this. Just think about that year for a second. 2004. All of this was happening on a PlayStation 2. I mean, technically, conceptually, it was just worlds ahead of almost everything else out there.
These features, they weren't just random ideas that Rockstar was throwing at the wall to see what would stick. Not at all. They were all part of a single big idea. They were the literal building blocks for the future of gaming as we know it.
You've got characters that physically change, myths that are basically born from the community, a world that feels more like a simulation, and that blurring of the lines between action and RPGs. That is the real legacy of San Andreas. And you can see its DNA everywhere today, from the social stuff in games like Persona to the way stories unfold in something like Red Dead Redemption 2.
So yeah, these weren't just cool features in one game. These were game-changing ideas that basically set the course for a whole generation of video games, completely shattering our expectations for what a virtual world could even be.
So that's a quick look at the incredible secrets hiding inside San Andreas. But I mean, this game is so huge, we've really only scratched the surface. So I want to turn it over to you. I gotta ask, what's the one secret, the one myth, or maybe just that one tiny little detail from San Andreas that is stuck in your head after all this time? Let me know down in the comments.